Welcome to Global Citizen Life podcast. Today on the show, we have Dana Smith. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Sally. Appreciate it.
So, you are originally from the United States, but you left a while ago, and the first place you went to was Nicaragua. Why did you choose Nicaragua?
Well, the only place I've ever lived was Maryland. 58 years old, and back in 2015, I started traveling by myself, backpacking through Costa Rica for a week. I was self-employed, so I was able to take off for a week. I was single, so I started going to Costa Rica. It was the only place I went to, just traveled around. Then I met my wife and was decided to wait until 2019 till my daughter graduated college before I decided to move to Costa Rica. Once I met my wife, got married, and went with her to Costa Rica, I then traveled by myself for a month because she was working, I was retired. And I went to Costa Rica for 2 weeks, like I always do. And then I decided, why not try something else and go to Nicaragua? And Nicaragua just hit me like it was the right place to go to. It was the first place I went to was San Juan del Sur, which everybody goes to. And it was a beautiful beach town, kids, families, people playing baseball and soccer. And it was gorgeous. And it was November of 2021. And I FaceTimed my wife and I was like, this is it. We either invest to try to get a loan for $500,000 for our 1856 house that was dilapidated and run down and fix it up, or we sell everything, cut our losses, and move to Nicaragua. So she said, sure. So I came back and literally met with a real estate agent the next day. And they said, you have to have everything cleared out of the house and ready to go by January 15th, 2022.
Wow, that's some quick decisions. And so
Yes.
you went to Nicaragua. Had your wife been there before, or was this now moving was her first time?
Never, never. I wanted to show her what it was like. So we went in January, right when the house went up for sale. And we spent 3 or 4 days in Nicaragua, in San Juan del Sur. And then we flew back home. We had an offer already. So we took the offer. And she was working for a good paying position and wasn't ready to retire, but she quit her job and put her 2 weeks in, which surprised everybody. And we moved to Nicaragua full time in February of 22. And that was it.
Okay.
So we decided that's where we're going to live for the rest of our lives. And we're just going to travel from there.
Wow. And how did that work out?
The day after we landed, we had an appointment with a real estate agent in Nicaragua. We went way too fast, which we always do. It's usually me. So we met with a real estate agent. We went to look at some houses that we had seen online. Didn't like the steps because my knees are bad and I need surgery. But so we decided, as on the way down, he showed us a piece of land that was in the same community or same developing community, and it was a quarter of an acre or one third of an acre, and it was for sale. And the views were incredible. So we sat down with a real estate agent with him, and he recommended a contractor who spoke very good English and was very charming. And we basically went back out to the land, asked if we could build the property at the budget that we had, and they said no problem. So we bought the land and we started building the house in April of 22.
Okay.
So after that, we built the house with this contractor who, again, was charmed your socks off and said that the way he was going to pay for it was we pay him a certain amount per month and he will charge us the exact amount that everything costs. And that would be, that's how we would end up paying for it. That's not what happened. And we didn't know about that because we didn't know the prices in Nicaragua. So every time he wrote up a receipt, he wrote up a fake receipt and gave us the receipt, and we paid it, but it was way overpriced. And we didn't know that until December when we ran out of money and the house
Oh, no.
wasn't finished being built. So we came to the conclusion at the end in December or January that he had probably taken about $90,000 extra from us.
Wow.
So going there with no debt and with a certain amount of money to build a house and live and travel, we ended up in December having no furniture. The house wasn't finished. The It was a mess. It was a grounds were everywhere. We were in every credit card we had was maxed out. My wife took out her thrift plan, all of it, and we had to borrow from my sister. We had to borrow from her friend just to finish projects to be able to try to sell the house because at that point we were like, we're done. We were living on like $20 a month. At the end of the month, we had $20 left over because we had to pay our credit cards and we had to pay
Mm.
everybody. So again, we had no bed, we had no furniture,
Wow.
and we had no car. So we learned how to ride motorcycles in Nicaragua, which was great. And so that's all we had was two motorcycles that my wife and I rode. But I had a Jeep and we sold that just to be able to build a kitchen. So yeah, about $90,000 worth. Devastated.
Of
So
course. That's unbelievable. It's just awful. It's not
yeah,
unbelievable because it happens, but it's awful.
yeah, and little did we know he had been doing it to many other people and is still doing it because we can't
Hmm.
get him. We've tried lawyers. We tried lawyers for a year before we left, um, and no matter what, the judges are corrupt, the police are corrupt, the lawyers. You know, you find one
Right.
good person and they try, and then it just hits a roadblock after roadblock. And we put out another probably $3,000 or $4,000 for lawyer fees and documents, and we had a stack of documents for receipts and fake receipts this high, and none of it would do any good.
Oh,
So,
oh, that's awful. So
yeah.
sorry. That's just awful. So, did you end up selling the property?
Yeah, in May
And
we
you didn't use the
decided
same realtor, did you?
no, no. Gabriella, she's fantastic in Nicaragua. But we started looking. We were like, okay, the house is not going to be finished ever if we continue this way. So we talked to real estate agents, and they're like, what? And we were asking, what can we do to sell the house as is, or just invest a little bit of money into fixing it up to the best of our ability? You know, maybe repaint some things. So they started helping us trying to figure out what's the best way to do that. So we asked friends and we asked a friend for like $6,000 and we got a lot of stuff done, a lot of little stuff that made it look nice. And then we had the real estate agent. By that time, it was already past the tourist season in San Juan del Sur, so it was
Okay.
past the peak of when you should sell it. So by the time we got it finished, we put it up on the market, we advertised it, and then we had we had one offer. So the offer we wanted like 300,000, which is a lot for Nicaragua. Um, but you should see the place; it was incredible. So the guy offered us 235. We ended up settling, I think, at like 270, which is
Okay.
just enough for us to pay off all of our debt because all the debt we needed to have wiped out, pay off our friends, our family, buy a house in Italy, and still have money left over for renovations and also for a little bit of savings for life, in general.
Yeah. No, good
Yeah.
to have.
So thank goodness we sold it. So we're just
Yes.
very happy about that. Yes.
Yes. So an unfortunate, tough learning experience in Nicaragua.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit of a bad taste of Nicaragua now.
Yep.
Or
Yep.
yeah,
Never going
yeah.
back. Never going back. So
It's unfortunate.
yeah.
And I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. But
Yeah.
then so you relocate to Italy. And I have to say,
Yeah.
Italy is
So
one of my favorite countries. I love Italy.
I know. And I went there 25 years ago with my uncle.
Mhm.
Um, and we did a Trafalgar tour. So we traveled
Mhm.
everywhere for like 2 weeks and it was incredible. And then when my wife and I were talking about moving, where should we move? We started off in Portugal and Spain, and then we went Albania, and then we were like, well, Albania popped up Italy on YouTube. So we were like,
Mhm.
oh, Italy would be beautiful to, like I figured it was just too expensive, to move to
Right.
Italy. And crazy idea. I don't know why I didn't think of it earlier. But we started thinking about Italy, and then we were like, that that would be really nice. So then we had to think about what area we went to,
Mhm.
and Abruzzo. I don't know if you know the
Mhm.
region of Abruzzo, and
Yep.
it was just perfectly placed in the middle of Italy, in the middle of mountains, and we wanted to get away from the beach. We were tired of the beach. Um, so we picked Abruzzo, and then from there we just kind of narrowed down what cities we or
Mhm.
towns that we would like to go to. So we sold the house in May, and I was talking to an agent who helps buy houses in Italy in that Abruzzo region. And luckily, he didn't get back to me like he was supposed to because I was ready to make an offer on a house, like I do. And everybody's telling me to wait, wait, wait. But
Wait,
everything
wait.
everything that we liked was selling. It was
Mm.
being snapped up, and this one house was small, but it looked big on the video. And thank goodness we did not pick that one. So we ended up,
Blessing in disguise at
yes,
first.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm thankful to my wife that she did not want to do that. So then we went to visit the kids for a month in the United States. I have grandchildren. I have like almost 8 grandchildren, and
Wow.
I know 3 daughters, and one of them lives out in Arizona. My wife wanted to visit her mother in, I think, Michigan. And then we flew to Baltimore and we visited everybody there. And then we took a train to New York, down to Brooklyn, and we got on the Queen Mary 2. So we took
Okay.
a week-long cruise from the Queen Mary 2 from New York to Southampton, London, which was
Okay.
incredible. Like, just
Mm-hmm.
it was cheaper than flying because
That's
we
crazy.
would we would have to pay for room and board, we'd have to pay for food if we flew over there, in Italy, and this way
Right.
everything was covered and it was cheaper. So we were like, how often are you going to be able to go on a cruise on the Queen Mary? So that was
Right.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we landed in London, we had to go on 3 different trains to get to the airport in London.
Okay. Mhm.
And then from there, we spent the night. The next day, we flew to Rome, and we arrived in Rome, I think, May 31st. And then from there, we rented a car, and we drove straight to the house that we were thinking about buying. And we met
Oh,
the
wow.
realtor
Okay.
there, wanting to see this house. And because they filmed everything, and everybody has to be careful, they film everything in wide angle lenses.
Yeah.
So everything looks huge. So when we arrive at this town, it was Riano, Italy.
Okay.
It was tiny. Everything seemed condensed, like it was some sort of a MC Eschner, print where everything is just kind of, you know.
Mm.
And then we went to the house, and it was like, this can't be the same house because it looked like a closet, And I was thinking we were going to have like a sectional couch, but it was so small that we were like, "Ugh, okay, well, I guess that's out the window. So I guess we're gonna have to try to find some place, to stay." So
Right. And so then the house hunting began, which I always recommend to people. I mean, you need to stand in the house, condo, the flat, the apartment, the whatever it may be, stand in it,
right,
touch it, smell it, because some areas, like depending on where you're going, there could be mold issues, there could be who knows, right? And yeah, I I don't think I would ever buy anything sight unseen or through a video. Like that's a huge, huge risk.
I know, but it just seemed like everything that we liked was just selling so fast, and we were starting to think, okay, the budget that we had wasn't going to be enough if we're going to end up buying something.
Right.
Um, and we had received a message from another realtor in the
Mhm.
town next to us in Pratola,
Okay.
Palinga, which is next to Samolna. You know where
Hmm.
Samolna is?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so it's near Samolna. It's right within biking distance of Samolna. It's
Okay.
perfect. So there was a house that we had seen before, so we drove by that, and in the Google Maps that I was looking at, it was an old video. It was an old Google Maps from like
Okay.
2016, and they hadn't updated it yet. So when we got there, everything was much better in person. It was like a
Hmm.
4-story townhouse with 3 balconies overlooking the mountains, and it was incredible. So we set up an appointment, and basically we made an offer on that house on June 7th. Yeah, June 7th.
Okay.
Yeah. So that
Wow. That's quick.
again, super quick. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm sort of like that all the time. So
Okay. And so did you end up getting that house? Did the deal go
yeah,
through?
yep,
Okay.
yep. It'd been on
So
the
that
market
is
for a
cool.
while. Yeah, it
Okay.
was it's a house, and then on the bottom level is like a separate apartment, and it was called
Okay.
a lab, and it was like totally separate entrance, and that was like the father's dental lab.
Mm,
So
okay.
he fixed dentures and he made all kinds of teeth and stuff like that. So it was just filled with that kind of stuff. And no one had been in the house for years.
Okay.
So, but they started renovation. It had a new roof, it had new windows, it had, new paint, new kitchen. And so we ended up getting the house and the lab for 50,000 euro. So, which
Wow.
to me is a fantastic deal.
Good price.
Conv-
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. If you can move to Italy and you're only paying 50,000 euro, then I'm thinking that's probably a good thing. So,
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people think that Italy is very expensive. And of course, there are areas that are. And if you want to be in prime locations in Rome and Milan and Florence, absolutely,
of
you're going to
course,
be paying a lot of money for that. But there's a lot of smaller towns and places where population is declining
right,
and a lot of places are just empty because they've moved abroad or they've moved to the city, or it's their vacation summer home that they don't really use anymore. And there are some really good deals for some nice properties that some don't need any work, some just need a little freshening up because they've been sitting for a while.
yeah, yeah. We noticed that we thought maybe we want something run down a little bit, but after dealing with all the other contractors, we just wanted something that you only had to fix up a little bit, like repaint, remodel a bathroom or something like that.
Hmm.
So the budget, you could easily get a house for 20,000, that needed a lot more work, in these
Right.
towns that people were moving out of. But we didn't want an isolated house. We wanted something
Mm.
mid-sized. So we looked at the population of about 6,000 for the town. Um,
Okay.
Not so much like Samolna, which is much bigger, but
Mm.
not so much like Riano, which is much smaller. So it
Right.
was right in the middle. So
Oh, good.
we settled in our house in 3 weeks, and
Oh,
we bought 2 e-bikes since you can't own a
great.
car.
Perfect. Okay. Well, perfect for getting around though.
Oh yes, those e-bikes, we have them here in Albania now, but the e-bikes are fantastic. So if anybody
Mhm.
decides to go buy e-bikes, it's the best decision you'll ever make on that one. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
they're great. And so let's talk a little bit about Italy. So you spent 3 months there in Italy?
no.
Or no?
We would be allowed to spend 3 months, but we
Hmm.
didn't want to because we wanted to get back in time for Christmas. So,
Okay.
so we had a certain time frame that we wanted to spend in Italy from middle of October till the middle of January to celebrate all the holidays, and we wanted a Christmas because we hadn't had Christmas in November. I mean, in Nicaragua for so long. So we really wanted a Christmas, and we wanted to have a home that we could decorate. So October 15th to January 15th, we wanted to be back. So we couldn't stay longer than July 15th to get back by October 15th,
Right.
right? So we
Mhm.
stayed we went to we stayed there until July 30th, and then we left on July 30th. We could have stayed until like September for the 90 days, but we didn't want to. We only stayed in our house for maybe a month before we had to move and take up, not take everything, but pack up the bikes and catch a ferry. And so the 6 weeks that we were able to be in Italy, that was fantastic. We
Mm.
got started on a couple things, um, but no renovations or anything like that. We just basically just lived there and explored and enjoyed that we actually owned a house. So
Right.
yeah.
Excellent. And that you're
So
in Italy, like that's amazing.
I know my wife has never been there. She's never been to Europe, and
Oh my gosh.
we haven't seen anything. So we flew into Rome
Oh,
and then we stayed there, but we haven't been anywhere except that general vicinity. So
so much to see and do.
she still hasn't seen, yeah, she hasn't seen Florence, she hasn't seen Rome or Venice or anything like that. So I'm waiting to go with her when we get back. So
Of
hopefully.
course. Yeah. I mean, Italy's so beautiful. It's so
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
So, okay, so now you're in Albania,
Right.
and what's the total amount of time that you're staying in Albania?
3 months.
3 months.
So
Okay.
90 days. So
Yeah.
I think it was July 30th and we're leaving on Tuesday, so that'll be October 29th, and we're arriving
Right.
back on the 30th. So
Okay.
we lived in Durrës for 3 months. And from Durrës, the first month was in one apartment and it's kind of small, saved our money, just kind of regrouping everything. And then the next month, September and October, we decided to travel a little bit, rent a car, um, just see different parts of Albania besides Durrës,
Right.
because Durrës
Of course.
is nice, but once you've been here for 3 days, you wanna leave. So we went to Turkey. I asked my wife if she wanted to go, and she said sure. So it was cheap, and we flew to Turkey last Monday and came back on Friday, and then that was amazing. That was quick, super quick,
Mm.
and we actually met friends in Turkey that live in Italy that originally lived in Virginia. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, so they're
Nice.
traveling, they're doing the exact same thing, but they're opposite. So
Okay.
yeah, but we became friends with them, and they actually met us in Istanbul, and we hung out with them for a day or so, and then we basically went on our own, and it was
Mm.
a beautiful place.
I've only been to Istanbul. It's been the only city in Turkey that I've been to, and I really like it. I would like to spend a bit more time there and view more of the country because it is um, very different if you think kind of the north to south, east to west, the Asian side, European side.
Right.
It's quite interesting. One thing that I do love about Europe is how cheap it is generally to travel. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
it's so inexpensive. I mean, it just makes it so great.
Well, I mean, from the buses and the trains, of course, but even the flights are like 20 or $30 to go from one country to the next country.
Yeah.
So it makes it so much easier. I mean, how many people in the United States are going to fly to Istanbul for 4 days? You
No,
can't do it because it would cost too much.
the
But from
cost and the
here,
time.
right, and from
Yeah.
here it's an hour and a half, from Albania, and you just get a flight, and we're there, and you get off, and you're in Istanbul, and it's fantastic. So we
Yeah.
had a really good time.
What are your thoughts on Albania? Because not a lot of people travel to or spend more than a few days in Albania.
The country outside of the cities is gorgeous. I mean, the mountains and the lakes and all that stuff is really nice. I think inside the cities is a little, not rougher but dirtier. There's they haven't, I don't think they've developed enough to keep things running smoothly. Like trash disposal, and um, a lot of people drive crazy. You
Mhm.
know, we rented a car, so I drove. It wasn't a problem, but you have people that are driving crazy. It's very congested in some of the towns, the beach towns, and Um, but they still have a lot of transportation with buses. They don't have any trains, but they have bus services, which is nice.
Mhm.
So we were able to take buses from Durrës to Tirana, which is the capital, and then from Tirana to Skodra, and things like that. It's very easy to do. So, and we
Mhm.
took a tour. The only tour we took was one tour to go to Bavilla Lake, and
Okay.
it was a beautiful lake. And it was out in the country, and it was really nice. So,
Yeah. I was in Albania. Well, I was in Albania just for one night to catch a flight. This year, actually, it was earlier this year. It was back in January. It was like it was a long time ago. But then I was there for 4 or 5 nights several years ago, and I felt like it was sort of like going back in time a little bit. I felt
for
like I
sure,
went back in time about 30 years kind of thing is was
yeah,
a bit of the feeling that I got. And you're right, the infrastructure is somewhat lacking. Um, but if I compare it to, going back in time about 30 years, I'm like, that's kind of how it was. And it's not a rich country. Um, but it's nice, it's unique. It has its own things, but it also has um very modern amenities at the same time. So
yeah.
it's a little bit strange of the clash of a little bit back in time, but so many modern amenities and shopping malls and things that are very up to date, and you wouldn't
Oh
know
yeah,
in the mall that you were in Albania.
right, right. Yeah, no, the shopping mall in Tirana is state of the art. The
Hmm.
people are super nice. I haven't run into
Hmm.
any situations at all. Even riding our bikes in the streets, in the busy streets, and no problems at all. Um, and it just came out of communism in 1991 when communism fell here, because otherwise before that it was a you couldn't go in and out of the country at all. So they had no way of knowing what's going on outside of the country because everything was regulated. So we were able to go into some bunkers.
Hmm.
They have 170,000 bunkers here, which is incredible. You see them
I didn't
everywhere.
realize there's that many.
Yeah, he built them. He built them all, and then so we've stopped and just on the roadside, and you see a bunker, and you go down in it, and you start wandering around in the bunker. But they have some of them that are museums, so we went to a
Mhm.
couple of those. Cable cars going up the mountains. That was beautiful. It's just, yeah, it's not Scotia Square. Scanderberg Square
Mhm.
was in the main city, and that's obviously a historical place.
Yeah.
That was really nice. So
They have a
there's
lot
so
of
much to
markets and
do.
things there. Hmm.
Yeah, a lot of markets. They have
Yeah.
casinos, and
Yeah.
things like that. And it was good. We had a good time.
I think it's a great place to visit. And it's a very inexpensive place to go to and stay and visit and enjoy for anything from, a week is easy. You could easily spend a week there and do many things, and it's very inexpensive
For sure.
to months if people want. And that's kind of what you're doing is you're 3 months there and then heading back to Italy.
Yes. Yes. We can't wait to go back to our house because we feel like we haven't even spent any time in our house. And
Well, you haven't
it's,
really.
no, I know,
Like
I know.
it's
So we have contractors who are starting on November 4th to start to work, which is going to be nice.
okay.
Redoing a bathroom for the apartment downstairs.
Mhm.
My wife and I are excited about getting the living room and painted. And my daughter's
Oh,
coming to visit. My youngest daughter's coming to visit in December for 2 weeks,
nice.
and then her daughter's coming to visit in May of next year.
So will you be
And
there for Christmas? You're
yeah,
staying there over the holidays? So you want to
right.
make it your own and have your first Christmas in Italy. Oh, that sounds so
Yes.
great.
So we get to buy the lights, and we get to go to IKEA and buy all the stuff that we've been wanting to do for years, and then we're leaving January 15th. So
Okay.
we have to so we'll have about 2.5 months there, maybe
Mhm.
almost 3 months. I think my wife said it was like 77 days because we
Okay.
want to get back in time for the springtime for Italy.
Okay.
So we want to get back
Hmm.
on April 15th so we can spend April, May, and June, and then get away again for the hot months.
Right. Yeah, because
So
July, August, it's June. You're going to be feeling the
you're
heat in
pushing it.
June
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
but you know
yeah.
it's okay.
Right, right. That's not so bad. But July and
Yeah,
August, yeah, we want to get out of there. And then,
right.
yeah, so Thailand is our next stop in January,
Okay. Okay. Good
and we're
time to
gonna,
be there. Perfect.
yeah, yeah,
Beautiful
I
that
think
time of the
so.
year.
Right, right. So we're gonna enjoy that, and we might go to Vietnam or Singapore or Laos because they're all like right there, and we can just
Yeah.
hop over.
Mm,
And then I'm gonna get a knee evaluation because I have to get my knee replaced.
okay.
So my right knee, well, actually both of them, but I only just want to do one in Thailand in July. So we're going to go back to
Okay.
Thailand in July and get the knee replaced and then basically just stay in one spot for 3 months while I'm recovering. So,
Right.
so that'll
Well,
be
it's great. There's a lot of medical tourism in Thailand, uh, even Turkey.
Turkey for sure.
Turkey does a lot of different things. I've actually
Yep.
had some dental work done in Turkey. That's why I was in Istanbul because it was cheaper for me to fly to Turkey, get the dental work done. Like I just had a bridge that needed to be replaced, so it wasn't like massive dental work. But for
Right.
me to fly there, get it done, they had it done in within 5 days. Hotel, food, everything. I think I stayed 10 days, and that was cheaper than it was for me to have it done. I was living in Barcelona at the time, than it was to have it done in Barcelona, and Barcelona was going to take me 3 months to get it done. I'm like 3 months and
Yeah.
more money, or fly to Turkey and have a bit of a holiday, get it done in 5 days, and
Right.
it's done. Like, so I went to Turkey, and people are like, "What?" And they're like, "Have you been before?" And I said, "No, it's my first time going, and I'm getting it." They're like, "How do you know they're good?" I'm like, "I don't. I saw some
Oh,
reviews. I looked at stuff. I said, I haven't paid. I said, I once I get there and I see the facility, if something's like this doesn't look good, then I just won't do it because I'm not really out any money then." And I mean, they were great. They picked me up at the airport, brought me to my hotel, picked me up from the hotel, brought me to the dental office, back every day for what needed to be done, and then back to the airport. Like, great service, everything included, and it was
right.
still way cheaper than me. And in Barcelona, I'd have to get to the dentist office myself and back and forth each time and everything that needed. And so it
Right.
just it made sense. So that's, it's good to for people who need things, surgery, whether need or want, whichever way you want to look at it, that there's a lot of places that you can have a vacation, get done what you need to do, stay there to recover, and still be cheaper than your home country.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Turkey is famous for hair transplants.
Yes,
So my
yes,
wife was like,
yes.
why don't you like this little bit right here? Go maybe look into it. And I'm like, I really don't. Who am I trying to impress? I'm already, you know, you already like me, so but she's
Maybe
like,
she'd
"Ah,
like you more.
I don't know. It might work. So so I might go in before I get my knee transplant, I might fly to Turkey, get the hair transplant, and then come back and get my knee done. So I'll be like Bionic
Oh,
Man trying
oh
to
yeah.
recover. Yeah. With a
Yeah, no,
shaved head.
it's incredible. They are known there for the hair, but I've heard it's very painful. Heard it is quite painful to get that done.
Yeah.
So unless you
Well,
really want to,
so
or you
so
like pain,
so is having my knee replaced, and the
that's
bone cut and all
yeah,
that stuff.
but that's a bit
So
more of a necessity than hair,
that's definitely a
in my
necessity.
opinion.
Yes. That's why I was like, I really don't need it, but maybe if I do, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. But
If you can
I mean,
treat
it's great. Yeah, great for people to look into, not only, as we move abroad and relocate, but you've got it, kind of set up great where you're going to be in Italy, you're going to be loving it. Unfortunately, those almost 3 months are going to go by really quick, but then you're going to enjoy um, Thailand for a bit, get set up, have surgery there, because that's obviously going to be way less money than it
right.
would be to have it done in the United States.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And they have top-notch people in
Oh yeah,
Thailand, the
yeah,
hospitals and stuff. And we have to leave the country anyway. I think it's a forced,
right.
not that
Mm.
we're on vacation because we're both retired, but you're forced to pick a different country to go to instead of just sitting in your house for 6 months a year and planning a week's vacation. You get to
Right.
really experience a country. Like I know what Albania is like now because I've been here for 3 months, as opposed to just flying in and spending a week in a beach town and then flying back out and saying, what Albania is like, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have to
Did
treat
you
it as
make
if
it up?
we live here.
Yeah, for sure. Did you make it up at all to Montenegro?
No, nope.
I have a place in Montenegro. When I leave here, I'm finally heading home. I haven't been there since January, and I'll be happy to be getting back to Montenegro.
We got within 20 minutes of it, but we
Yeah,
didn't
it's
we didn't cross over. So
well, it's I mean it's beautiful. It's very small. It's beautiful. Maybe on one of your other
yeah,
times of travel, and that's the great thing about what you're doing. So Dana, I just want to thank you for your time and just
of
also
course.
if any last piece of advice, if people are, a lot of people they want to move abroad or they want to make that, but they're a little bit nervous. They're not really sure, that we just like, we hear the horror stories of the bad things, kind of how it started out in Nicaragua, but it's great that that didn't stop you from
Right.
moving forward and keep going. So what advice or tips would you give people who are considering the move abroad?
Probably to not let that stop you because we don't have, I mean, us in particular, we don't have a 401k. We don't have a retirement fund. We're very limited on our budget every month, but we're still living in Italy where if you're in the United States, most likely you're going to be working till you're 62. You're going to be paying a mortgage. You're going to be paying for two car payments. You're going to be having, all of those things add up every month where you're struggling every single month to pay those bills. And you have this mindset of, I need to have half a million, $1 million in the bank to be able to retire. And you really don't because you can just take whatever little money you have and go abroad. And it's amazing. I mean, the things that you see every day compare, I love the United States. I lived there all my life and I've traveled around there. But the things you see in Europe and on a Tuesday afternoon, I have to remind my wife that we're in Albania or we're in Turkey looking at a mosque and we're walking around like it blows your mind that you're like last week I was sitting in Turkey and I'm just sitting there going like I never thought I would be in Istanbul, Turkey. You know what I mean? It just is like it's incredible the things you can do if you just get outside of your box and you stop thinking about I have to have this before I do this. When I first booked the trip to Costa Rica, it was $300, and I literally just got online and booked it. And then I figured out how do I get there, you know? And I took a backpack. I didn't have any. I can't speak Spanish, can't speak Italian. I don't know any Albanian. Um, but you just go, and you go and you figure it out, and it's not that bad. I have friends who tell me, "Oh, I can't do that. I would love to come visit. I can't, but I can't, or I got to do this." You just got
There's
to
always excuses.
book it, and you will figure it out. It's not that expensive to go, even just to Costa Rica, and explore the jungles and all of the things like that. It takes you out of your comfort zone and gets you to see that the world is bigger than just Maryland, you know. So my kids, I think I'm doing a favor for my kids because they think that I'm some nomad, that's traveling around the world, and it's just, partly true. But I want them to understand that when they get older, they can instill in their kids the fact that, well, granddad did it. He's in
Mhm.
Italy right now. Where? Because I'm always calling them. They're like, "Where are you?" Like I have no idea where you are, and I have to explain to them sort of where I'm at. Um, and that's
Just
kind of
wait
a,
till they come visit in Italy and you have,
I
family
know,
there, or they come for Christmas in Italy. And the things that the kids will be like, wow, like grandpa did this and I can do that. Or when I'm a teenager, university abroad or whatever it may be. It's just
right.
instilling all the possibilities that are available to them, whatever their imagination will be.
Yeah, just fly over here, one plane ticket, land in Rome. I will pick you up at the airport and go go explore for a couple weeks. So
Yeah.
it's very simple. People make it difficult, but it's very simple to just get out of your comfort zone and just, you know, just do
Enjoy
it.
life. Just live.
We had my wife's birthday was yesterday, and we had birthday, and the total dinner was $13. You know, so
Like
I'm like,
because I'm in Nashville and I went out the other about a week or so ago. I had one glass of wine and it was $30.
yeah, yeah, no, no, yeah.
I'm like, I don't think I need to be going to have a glass of wine by myself for $30.
Right, exactly. We had everything. We had everything that we wanted. We were full. It was a great dinner. Someplace we go all the time. And they brought the bill, and it was $13 and change. And you don't tip here. You don't tip in Italy. You don't tip here. It's all built into the bill. And it's like, how often can you go out for a birthday dinner, have a great time, ride your bikes at night along traffic, you know, and then pay $13 for a dinner? And it's the same
I
thing with
don't blame you. You
housing.
can.
I know, I know. Even in Italy, it's cheap in Italy. In Nicaragua, it was cheap. Costa Rica, it's cheap. And Thailand obviously is going to be much cheaper than
It's
even here.
yeah, yeah, it will
So
be.
looking forward to that. That's going to be in 3 months.
Great.
So
Well, it sounds fantastic. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for your time and sharing your experience with everybody. And so knowing that, we need to be careful. Sometimes, things don't work out the way we want, but maybe that was
sure,
kind of the blessing in disguise because now
ups and
you're
downs.
in a fabulous place and life has its challenges and we just got to keep on going and moving forward. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Sally. I appreciate it.